Well, I should be live here at Real Fridays. It's Real Fridays. If it's Friday, at Friday, every 12:30 on Friday is Real Fridays, which is a show that Brock Cassidy, myself, and Jeremy Potter created. My two co-hosts, which are not here right now and should be, but they are not, and they're late. In fact, I think Jeremy's got some work obligations, and Brock is late. And so I, the whole intent of this show, and it's been really interesting, is that to have insider information from industry experts about the status of the mortgage business and what's happening on the M&A front, what's happening on the market share front. Why are certain companies winning while other companies are losing traction, right? And we've seen this over maybe the last, really since 2008 and the crash. We've seen certain companies rise into prominence, and then companies that fall out of prominence for very, very specific reasons. I've created a career in really a business concentration around studying those behaviors and understanding the economics and the leadership qualities of these organizations that either end up hindering growth, or companies that end up achieving a certain level of growth and then losing it, or companies that sustain growth and stay at the top, because there are very specific attributes and very specific qualities that are consistent across top performing companies. Okay. I mean, there are great companies in this business. We've seen companies like, American Financial Network. It's a good company, right? But they kind of peaked in 2011, 12, 13, 14, and then they sort of petered out, right? And where are they now in the retail game? They've been sort of stuck, right? I would say same thing with companies like PRMI. PRMI is a company that I really fell in love with probably in 2006, 2007. Jeff Zitting and Dave Zitting are dear, dear friends of mine, right? And I really love their discipline, love their systems, love their organization. In my view, they were one of the companies that were the first to kind of pioneer the P&L model, right? And to really take that into real national prominence. I know Allied Home Mortgage and my buddy Johnny Fowler were probably the true pioneers of that. But from the standpoint of the modern era, the Dodd-Frank modern era, in my view, PRMI was really should be in that conversation as being really as being the leader or the author of the P&L structure in the modern era. And they've grown and they've really lost a lot of traction. And I know they're trying to do their best in order to gain that traction back again. They certainly have the leadership and the talent. They have the servicing. They have the discipline and the systems. The question is, do they have the business development appetite and understanding for growth? Do any of these companies that have lost production traction, do they have the appetite and the systems to grow and to sustain that growth? I mean, that's really the question of what we're asking ourselves here. And I am just really wondering why in the heck Jeremy, or rather Brock, is not on. But so this might be just a shorter video, but I'm working on a few deals, right now in the deal that I recently just closed, a 500-600 million a year group that in a deal I'm working on right now that's about 400 to 500 million a year as well. It's really fascinating what I'm understanding and learning from the competitive dynamics, because there's a real ugly side. There's a real ugly side to this business that I don't think is talked about enough, and that is, obviously these clawback agreements, the litigious nature of a lot of companies that go after loan officers for very, very petty reasons and really bullying-like motivations. And it really creates a tremendous amount of fear. It creates a tremendous amount of fear in loan officers in making a move to new companies. And Brock, so happy that you joined. I just, the way I took initially today's Real Fridays was just to talk about a bit of what I was doing, because I didn't know I thought maybe I got the time zone. I'm in Tucson, Arizona right now, so I thought maybe I got the time zone wrong.
Oh yeah, that's always tricky with the the time changing in that part of the country, right?
It's crazy,
Yeah, we have a partner in Mountain Time that we're dealing with that. But yeah, no, sorry, I was just wrapping up a call with one of our partners. But happy Friday.
Yeah, no, happy Friday, man. I was just talking about how there's a really dirty side of this business. I'm doing another acquisition, 400 or 500 million a year, and these companies, and the company they're coming from is a very litigious company, sues everybody over the smallest things, ties people up, really aims to bankrupt individual loan officers, really a bully of a company, right? And we're a good sized organization ourselves, so we're okay as long as we do things right. We're not afraid of being competitive and being aggressive in today's market. But I tell you, there's the way the industry is reshaping and resizing, and how expensive it is to operate in today's environment and to compete in today's environment. The competitive nature and the litigious nature of these acquisitions, both asset and stock, is getting to a point where that is almost a driving force of attrition in the business as we look into 2026 and 2027. I don't know how lighter capitalized organizations, because then the companies that are, I was just on the phone with another organization that is about $1 billion a year, $1.5 billion a year, and they're so afraid to compete because they're so afraid of getting sued from one of the larger organizations. And so that ends up holding their growth plans hostage. So you're kind of damned if you grow or damned if you don't.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I mean, there's a lot there, and I certainly do not know the specific example you're referring to, nor should I. But that's a sad state of affairs. Companies not wanting to grow their business because they don't have the legal resources to do it. And I'm obviously this X amount of the litigation has a legitimate reason, but I have to assume a huge portion is a little bit of bullying, is a little bit of discouraging competition, right? At least in other industries, or in where I've seen that happen more on the real estate side and stuff. There's always countersuing between all the big teams. And I kind of tended to think mortgage wasn't quite as messy as real estate, but that might be changing.
It's really bad. It's litigation is used, and I've been sued, and I've sued people in the past. So it's litigation really is used as a weapon. It's used as a weapon in order to one, financially hold hostage individual loan officers. Two, send a message to other loan officers that haven't made a move yet, to freeze them up or to discourage them from going, to really limit their employment choices. And three, to aim to really bankrupt an opposing party by just tying them up in the court. Even if there's absolutely no claim whatsoever, you can make the claim, and then you're kind of stuck, trying to defend something that's really careless to begin with. You guys talk. I got to answer this quick call, but you guys talk real quick. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Michael, for coming on, or Mike, I guess today. Mike, thanks for coming on as our recurring co-host.
Yeah, appreciate you inviting me.
Maybe you're just a recurring guest. I don't know. You're almost a co-host.
Yeah, filling in for. I guess you guys like the free screens.
Yeah, JDP's closing a deal. No, I don't know. He's just some sort of a call. I just always assume he's closing a deal. He's got so many clients going. Yeah. Well, this is our second time getting to talk today, and it's only 12:30, so that's a good sign.
Well, I was sent a article from. I'm just seeing if I could find it here. Can I find it here? It was in National Mortgage News, and it was pretty good. And it talked a little bit about how refinances are starting to pick up. Is that something that's really your world? Is that something that sounds very accurate? I guess the strongest, a really strong October for the two big giants out of Detroit, but just in general, I'll get some numbers. But
I've heard of those companies. Yeah, I think that, no, I think that's right. I mean, there's definitely been a good bump in refi. Playing, I mean, Newsip plays on the purchase side, but we primarily partner with consumer direct lenders. So we see the pendulum swing between purchase and refi a lot with them because they have, you know, X amount of lead budget and Y amount of loan officers, and they want to, sometimes they totally subdivide them. More often most of the LOs take both. And so we see our business, counterintuitive a little bit. Newsip sees our business shrink a little bit when rates drop quickly because so many resources get put towards refi. Even though purchase gets a little better too, it doesn't get as much better as refi. So weird idiosyncrasy of our real estate business, but yeah, I think it's I think it's been a mix because purchase applications have also been going up higher than seasonal averages. I think it's just overall getting a little healthier. Purchase closings, I don't think are up a ton, but appetite for purchase and purchase applications are up a good bit. Listing inventory is up a lot. And then as well as refi apps are up. And I assume refi closings are up, but I don't really track that. Rick would.
Yeah, it came from ICE Mortgage Technology's first look report. So it said they use prepayment rate to really determine if these servicing portfolios are how they're being handled. And so it was a prepayment rate of 1.01%. So that's up 36.84% over September.
Wow. Yeah.
And so
I actually thought September was pretty decent too, because we had some rate cut action in September. So I would have thought it might be a big jump from like early in the year, but maybe not from month to month in the last couple of months. That's good to hear. But yeah, if you look at the I always like just looking at Housing Wire's summary of like the macro data. Can you see this? I'm not sure if it's, do I need Rick to allow me to share that? Can you see the screen?
I can't.
Yeah, Rick has to allow it to share because he's the host. Always dogging us. But yeah, it's just the summary link to Housing Wire where it shows. So basically price cuts are way up on listings, as well as inventory being up considerably. So it's you know, overall purchase is getting healthier. I mean, inventory is going down a little bit month to month because it always goes down in December.
Yeah.
But like compared to last year, inventory is up dramatically. Median list price is down a little bit. Days on market is up a lot. Price reductions are up a lot. So, you know, I guess in summary, it's like starting to look more like a buyer's market, where there's more listings than buyer, or as many listings as buyers, maybe. We need to see more price drops to get the deals done.
Yeah, here's a profound question for you. On the refinance side, the article in National Mortgage News from a couple of weeks ago, I think you guys might even reference it on your show, but at least this number, it's been out there. 6.38% mortgage rate on a 30-year fixed unlocks 3.1 million borrowers become in the money that have purchased in the last 2 years. And then if it gets to 6 point, which happened in September, and I think that's why you saw a lot of closings in October, and then a drop to 6.25% would add another 1.4 million. So you're a total of 5 million borrowers. When you look at that,
and when you say adding that, it's sort of like they are a refinance target.
Refinance targets, I believe they purchased at a higher rate in the last couple of years, and
rates dropping below their current rate, basically. Yeah.
Like when you look at that, do you think people are targeting their own book of business? Do you hear this as an opportunity to go out and get new market share, or is that too overwhelming? Or do you think the services really are eating up a lot of that? Or do you think the services are just making them aware of it and then they're going to their local person? How fragmented do you think this 5 million in the money is? Is there a real way to capture more than just what everybody always captures?
I mean, it's definitely a call to arms for everyone, right? Like the servicers are pouring a lot into it. Certainly Rocket and and Cooper are underwriting that in tens of billions of dollars worth of market value, according to Wall Street, according to the stock market. So it seems like my understanding is that the prevailing view is that servicers are going to keep a lot of it. They have the best at bat, but I don't know. You see some really interesting stuff going on too with like Sage Home Loans announced their partnership with Robinhood, where Robinhood, whatever the exact details are, I think it's like Robinhood premium clients can get a discounted a rate and some additional credits if they refinance or purchase, but notably refinance with Sage. So now you're talking to people that are looking to invest money and offering them a below market refi. So I think of it more as, channeling my Jeremy Potter talking points, think of it more as like who has the best relationship with the consumer, who has the most natural relationship with the consumer. Servicer is one. Historically, like banks did a really good job, and I think some of them still do. If you know anyone in like the wealth management space or financial advisory space, like they always have a good at bat to. Most of them don't do mortgages themselves, but to talk about mortgages and refer to a loan officer. And then now that we're seeing like more people invest on their own, Robinhood and similar platforms, I think that's really cool. When I was at Rocket, there was a lot of attention on the fintech space. Now they have Rocket Money. That was after I left, but that acquisition was for the same reason: get to clients and understand their financial situation, build a natural relationship with them. When it comes time, you're there. So I think anyone that's thinking about the up funnel strategy is good, but I also know that I think your direct question is like, are other people just going to gain access to that same lead flow too? I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think I've heard that all the lead publishers, all the lead aggregators are raising their prices. So that's like a sign that like people are trying to buy LendingTree or MRC or OwnUp or any of these ones that a lot of our partners use. I don't think they're universally raising all prices, but like it's healthy. There's demand.
Yeah, I think you need you and I think the traditional retail model, which we could talk about, if and when Rick comes back on, I think it's taken a lot of wind out of the sails of what it means to have momentum if you're a top 50, 100 lender in the United States right now. And that Robinhood example is one where, Sage and Robinhood got together, and rather than talking about economics of how they can make money, they said, if we both give the consumer the best deal possible, we'll both be lifted by people talking about this in the news. So I think it's a challenge to other lenders. And I know there's one over at Rocket, but I think there's some, rev split there. So not the Rocket Money, but the other kind of wealth. If you can find eyeballs.
Yeah, they had Rocket rolled out a Schwab relationship years ago when I was still there, among others. They have insurance relationships. Where it's like, and I'm sure it's a lot more today. I haven't really looked into their current relationships, but yeah, that was always a thought of get it in the hands of other advisory people.
Yeah, and the Schwab is a commercial business relationship, whereas this one, I can tell you, is just both sides saying, okay, this is more just for brand, for great branding, and that's why the rate is so much lower than market rate, right? And you get name recognition through 25 million Robinhood users, and Robinhood now has a reason to join their gold. It's no different than $2.99 a month for Hulu Plus on Black Friday versus $14.99 if you need it.
It's a pretty crazy idea in the current like tech world of like pay $3 a month to save thousands of dollars on your mortgage. But it works the way those companies monetize, because then they can, the market recognizes software revenue as being worth so much more than transactional revenue. So it's like, I've always been I guess, bullish on like these membership models. Years ago, 10 years ago, probably at least, when I was very new to the industry, Rocket, well, not even at Rocket, one of the real estate companies that Rocket worked with was working really hard to get the Sam's Club real estate relationship. And we sort of had a small role in that. And that was wild to see the Sam's Club discounts that they were negotiating. And then there's, you know, AARP has crazy real estate partnerships and mortgage as well. So they're all the USAA, all the veteran groups have really amazing ones. So I think about that too, of like consumer trust. It's buying the leads and buying the access is really important. And I think a big part of the strategy, but you also probably need to play in some of those like loyalty pawns of where people manage their money or servicing or something. You know, every sales guru has their thing of like, someone's got to see your name 3 times, 7 times, 14 times, depending on the industry. I feel like it's one of those things. And retail can compete, I think, for sure, where they, you know, sponsored the Little League team, have their sign at the office. They, you know, have their office on Main Street, have these, that's a way to get your name in front of everyone. So I've never been deep in the retail side of mortgage, and maybe never will be. It's pretty far outside my purview, but since Rick isn't here, I will say they do have that advantage. I don't know. How do you see it? You work with a lot of different types of companies.
It's like you just said, it's like where trust intercepts convenience. So, and it's fascinating to hear like what makes somebody trust. So you have that Robinhood piece that's only for gold members. So those gold members obviously trust Robinhood more, or they wouldn't sign up for gold, right? And so even if Robinhood offered you for every member, are you, and I don't know what happened there, but are you disciplined enough to just say, no, like I have a story, I want to stick to it, and I want to build around this trust? And I think that's where the retail does well in certain certain loan officers understand the trust of their zip code and win their zip code. But
yeah,
in general, I don't think, especially lately, people will do anything to recruit another branch. They'll get away from their story. They'll get away from their trust to get that production. And it's they need the numbers to scale, to grow, to make it profitable. It's also, they know if they don't go for that one, there's 5 other mortgage companies lined up to try and get that branch. So there must be something good about it. I need it, even if it doesn't match my story. I think you're seeing a lot of that, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's I think that's what Rick was getting at before he dipped out for a minute to take that call. But yeah, it's always been kind of remarkable to me that the way the branches get bought and sold, because I mean, it makes sense. Just like any business, you have your foothold and you own your zip code. That's worth an incredible amount to whoever you roll up to. But then you start hearing about the top performers leave after the acquisition, or that branch doesn't exist anymore and it gets consumed into another branch or into another team, or all these 3D chess moves. And then I kind of come back to, should you have just like recruited the best loan officers and not bought the whole piece? But that's Rick's world. But you know, how to buy and sell and recruit the different pieces of branches and production. But I definitely find it interesting that so much is happening right now in the market around that.
Yeah, I think we touched on it when I was a guest on your show, whether it was last week or 2 weeks ago, and how that's why companies are afraid to train up, right? Because of that article, how fast people end up getting a new job. Are you training them up? And you said how Rocket didn't care about that. They that's like almost branding for them. And
yeah, they trained everyone. They trained 200 loan officers every week for years, and 50 of them would produce. It's crazy. Yeah.
And it's because they have the leads. So you can almost like say, look, we have leads for you to call. I think the local companies don't have a good lead story. And I think it's harder than ever. You know, COVID kind of just vacuumed up all the opportunities here in our zip code.
Yeah.
to get
And I'm
that.
sure Rocket's approach is different now than it was in 2016, by the way. But like, it was still wild. It was still wild to see what they were doing then. Yeah.
So the supply's down, and what I'm seeing, and I was going to wait for Rick, but I think what's been most fascinating to me as the eyes and ears, you know, in many ways, is these lenders are realizing how hard it is to recruit. You know, AI tools now, like everybody's recruiting or sending messages through LinkedIn. Then they're down to like 3 people they actually talk to and trust they maybe would move with. So you're never just you. It's always you and 2 other companies that they're looking at. And you lose out, whether it's because Rick was saying that they're afraid to move because they don't want to get sued, or they choose somebody else and you put a whole year into it. That is psychologically, I think, now affecting these mortgage companies. They've had a year of great recruiting. They invested in recruiting. They didn't get the people they thought they were going to get. And they start to question, am I no different than the other 50 lenders out here that are all part of mortgage, you know, co-op or mortgage collaborative, lenders one co-op? Like, are we all just very similar in the loan officer's eyes? Is that why I'm not getting it? Because I know I'm a huge brand, or I was a huge brand. And where this is coming in to land the plane, Brock, is I think they're now afraid if they just lose 2 of their top 4 or 5 of their top 12, they are going to go from a good size lender down to that CEO for the first time in their life is basically just running a couple branches. They're not running a company anymore. And I think I'm starting to see that fear tick in, is like,
Yeah.
I can't, if I lose the top 2, I can't replace that person with a quick signing bonus. And
Yeah.
now I'm playing defense.
It's like the 80-20 rule on steroids of, you know, the bottom 20% of loan officers left in 2023. And then the bottom 20% of loan officers left again in 2024. And then the bottom 20% of loan officers, not the exact number, obviously, but Pareto principle or whatever the principle is to say this, where like, okay, there's a lot fewer loan officers now after three years, let's say 2.5 years of this serious churn, not just churn between lenders, but churn out of the industry. Ingenious always publishes that, I always look out for Jeff to post like the latest on how many loan officers left the industry. So I hear that every lender is hiring to some degree, recruiting to some degree. Is that going to be to the point that we bring in new round of 22-year-olds, 25-year-olds into the industry? Or is that going to be people that were in the industry and left for a couple of years come back? Is that going to be, or certainly there's plenty of lenders that are saying, our AI is going to allow us to keep the same amount of loan officers, but those same companies are hiring. So I think I feel like the AI scaling is still kind of a talking point, not a reality. I hear almost every lender is trying to hire, which is awesome. Like let's count our blessings for that. It hadn't been like that for a couple of years. But then it's like, okay, who?
Yeah, I think the big question is if you have between right now 60 and 200 loan officers, and like doesn't matter, even if you have 200, if you lose 3 of your top 6 loan officers, how do you replace that? Do you replace it with 20 teaching them out of college? Do you go out and sign $3 million check to get that? Because we got to assume they're a huge heavy hitter if they're top 3 in a 200-person like a loan officer company, right?
Yeah.
Or is that too many to take on? And that is the that's the question. I guess I would leave
like do you have time to bet on the untrained folks? In consumer direct, you kind of do.
That's what we were talking about.
Retail, you kind of don't. Yeah.
Might be time to get a consumer to direct, in a box, or there are areas that we were talking about that loan officers need it.
Yeah. If you're a lender listening that's thinking about how to expand into the next geography where you don't have a branch, or to feed, some new junior loan officers business, there's a lot of tools you can use to make that a lot easier. I'm certainly biased that NewZip is makes it a lot easier with our pre-negotiated and set up real estate agent relationships in all 50 states and all 3,100 counties in the US. But there's a lot of other things that really they should reach out to you probably, because there's a lot of other pieces you can put together with it in terms of how they are putting together the rest of the tech stack and just positioning on how to expand your business into new geographies or new lead sources or both. But a huge part of it's in purchase is the agent relationships. A huge part of it is the call center staffing and just speed to lead, which there are a lot of different solutions to, whether that's hiring or going to a partner that you're working with. Like we've rolled out that feature recently where lenders that are partners with us can use our call center to call on their behalf. It's a little bit different product and structure, but it wraps around our existing partnerships basically. And then, then there's all the other pieces of how you do every other step in the process that I know you're thinking about, Mike.
Yeah, but when I saw what you're offering as a lender, the problems, the pain points I just said, like this is how you gave the right word, positioning. Better positioning in the new, like now is the time to have that better positioning. Now's probably the best time if you're going to stay in the industry to do it. Or if you're wondering if you're going to merge with a bigger company or a partner company, I would give this one shot. Before I did and kind of time it into that purchase market. I think that would be the big, again, takeaway. Appreciate you guys having me on here too. I don't know if
evidently Rick's not coming back, and so I don't have the controls to share the screen, which is funny. But no, good conversation. And are you seeing across the board that it's been pretty active in like November and December, or normal slowdown, or what does it look like in your world?
Normal. I think it's normal slowdown now. Trying to get the loan officer to work 8 hours a day is what I'm hearing. They'll find any reason not to put it in, holiday, because like they're networking in the area in the zip codes, right? Like there's holiday events everywhere. You're trying to be there. That counts as working. And
yeah, I got 2 holiday parties this weekend. Yeah.
2 holiday parties. So I think that's it. For me, it's like, what do you just make sure you're ready for that first week of January when not you have your goal set, but everybody else is trying to stick to these goals.
Yeah.
And like is motivated and feed into it. Like you already know people want to put on social media more. So reach out to those realtors and offer to help them in that first week. They're going to do it. By week 3, they've quit. So like, this is when you do it. And then that gives you 3 weeks. I always said this, after that 3 weeks, you need to be rolling something out for the next like 4 weeks going into and then the purchase market kind of takes you from there. And those that have something rolled out can keep it going. Those that waited will say, well, now is not a good time because, volume is picking up because of purchase. And then you're rolling out in the middle of July when no one's around and it's just a horrible rollout and set yourself back. So that's where get your goals ready, get into what they're doing in the first 2 weeks, but have have this consumer direct in a box, have this NewZip partnership and just crank it out across the country right into the purchase market. I said to I have to get going, but I'll leave it on this. I said, this is like picking up this NewZip product is like jumping on the perfect wave. This is a Northeast thing, but you're on a boogie board. You get the perfect wave right out of there. You don't have to sit and tread water for an hour wondering if there's sharks and jellyfish below you. You just get in, you go. And that's sort of my theory. And that's what I'm going to be out there saying is, get in touch with you and some other ideas I have in mind, but get something rolled out.
Ways you can help lenders with this, but glad
get
that
something rolled out February.
Glad that I do feel strongly that we're one of the pieces.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike. I actually, oddly enough, find this time of year to be one of my busiest because people are doing that planning and evaluation and stuff. So I'm as busy as ever, but that's it. But in a good way, not in the daily production way, in the like strategic partnership way.
Strategic partnership.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. I mean, now's the time to do it because it's going to get people are going to be doing all their goals and everything. Like I keep saying,
right.
So it's good timing.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, have a great weekend, Mike. Thanks for popping on.
Thank you. Bye, Brock. Bye, Rick.
Bye, Rick.